What made the A Quiet Place series so great is everyone always underestimates it. Like when the first one came out, you're like, what's the dude from The Office gonna do? He's directing a scary movie? Oh, shiver my timber, you know? And then the movie comes out and you're like, whoa, that shit was good, you know what I mean? And then the second one kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed, and you're like, this shit gonna be no good. And then it comes out and you're like, whoa. And so this time I was ready for it. I was like, all right, I know this movie's gonna try to surprise me. I know it will. And so I sat there, I was like, let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. And then the credits rolled and I was like, did I miss it? Because I didn't see anything special.
This is directed by Michael Sinowski. He did Pig, which we reviewed, which was really good movie.
Loved it.
But we always say when you have an indie director that's going to a big budget thing, you can feel the producers trying to dig and be like, hey man, change this, change that, change that. What are you doing? And I felt that in this film.
But to his credit, I feel like it still had a voice, you know, and like, and like the changes that he brought, I think were very welcome. Like I think I like some of the changes. It's just for me, I didn't think the movie like wowed me. Like and maybe that's too high of a bar to clear. And maybe that's the issue is I loved A Quiet Place 1 and 2, and I just kind of liked this one. Is that even a negative? Like, is that a bad thing? Like, I still liked it, but I just didn't love it as much as I loved the previous two.
I think that's a common thing what a lot of people is talking about is that they like the film. They would say that it's worth watching.
Absolutely.
Even I say that it's worth watching, but it's not meeting those bars of the first one because it was like such a pleasant surprise from someone that you didn't expect to be able to just come out with this, you know, this type of thing. With Lupita's character, Sam, from the beginning of the movie, it tells you she ain't gonna make it. She ain't gonna make it in any way. It don't matter what way it's gonna be. It's just how she's gonna die and what is her death going to mean is when it comes from that, because she is a hospice patient dying from an illness, which I thought that was. Died from cancer. And I felt like that's an interesting thing to put in here because it's like, what are you going to do with this when you know that she is going to die?
Well, for me, I thought that was great. I thought it is a great way, a clever way to circumnavigate the boring prequelitis. I don't know if that's even a word, but prequelitis that prequels have. And the issue with prequels is you can't change anything, right? You can't do anything that would upset the previous film. So there's so much, there's so much parts of the story that are like set in stone so that a prequel can't touch. But this movie starts off, like you said, saying she's gonna die like very soon. And she doesn't, she's been facing that for some time, and she's almost at peace with the fact that her death is imminent. And so you know that nothing she's gonna do will affect the future. And not only that, she knows that too, which I think is very, very smart. And it turned the aliens from an actual like individual threat or from like an animal or something like that, something organic, some kind of organic threat or something like that, into more like a force of nature. It's almost, they're almost like a metaphor for death itself. You know what I mean? And that I thought was cool for like an hour. But then after that, you know what I mean? Like there's not, once the metaphor is in, right, which I thought was fantastic, there's not a lot you can do. We didn't learn enough about Eric to really care, to really be invested in that character. And I think if we learn more about him, we could have kind of like a best of both worlds type situation. But since everything was from Lupita's point of view, it kind of limited the movie a bit.
Yeah, because you said within an hour in, that's when he came into the movie.
That's when he came in. An
hour in, you're like, dang, he just comes out of nowhere at this certain part.
Right. And I loved your observation that at that hour point that I felt that the movie was running out of gas, they literally introduced a new character to try and, you know, get us to the end of the film. You know what I mean? This is not a bad thing, right? This is like totally fine. It's just like not as clean and like distilled fear like A Quiet Place 1 and 2 was. I guess I was expecting to maybe learn some more about the aliens, but it seemed like the movie lost interest in the aliens. So the aliens become more of a metaphor instead of like a true threat. You know what I mean? And any little new information we got, it was like so halting that I'm not even sure if it was new information. Like we did learn about something about eggs, I guess, but actually I'm not even sure if they were eggs because they were eating them.
They were eating them.
So it's like kind of confusing. But what the movie really truly is about what it means to face your own death. What does that mean? And Eric was not ready to die, and he was effing scared. where Lupita had already accepted her mortality. And she was like, you know what? I see that they've got these lifeboats out there and they can possibly save us. But I would rather get pizza. You know, with my last moments, I want pizza. And like, I dug that.
Her dad was a musician that took her to this jazz club all the time when she was a kid. Her dad would play the piano and play for a crowd. They go get some pizza at this place called Patsy's. The monsters were like her obstacle to get past. It wasn't like a fear thing of dying. She's like, man, these monsters ain't gonna stop me from getting to this pizza.
Personally, I really love that. I love movies that talk in a subtext, right? The text of this movie is Lupita wants to get pizza during the end of the world, right? That sounds freaking absurd, right? Which is cool. Yeah. But the subtext is about controlling what you can control in your life. Could she control the fact that she got cancer? No. Could she control the fact that aliens came down and destroyed New York? No. But she can control how she's going to die and what she's going to do with her last moments and who she's going to think about and why she's going to think about that. And I really like that. And the fact that we learned that she was like a poet before that, like, so she understands the poetry of your own life, you know, I like that she did that. Also, the movie, this main character's name is Sam, her cat, Frodo, right?
Frodo.
So very, very clear Lord of the Rings type things. Like, we got to go to Mount Doom. We going to Mount Doom, hell, high water, you know?
We got a journey to do. Okay?
Exactly.
But then we got this other Hobbit that's all scary and stuff back there. So you know.
The movie, while being very good, I do think it is the weakest of the three. But that's saying a lot because this is still a very good movie.
Jim Hanzu's character, where when everything is going down, he's basically there to protect his son. And I thought it would go somewhere else and they would pick that story up, but it didn't. He's basically just a placeholder as a connection between these movies. That's why he's in here. I
did like that moment though. I like that moment when
the moment was great.
When that guy was freaking out and he was about to scream, which would have killed everyone, and he slammed his head against the wall, essentially killing that guy. Yeah. You know, and he did that in front of his son.
They didn't take it anywhere else. I'm like,
no, but they didn't go anywhere. Right, it led nowhere.
The major issue that I have about this film, and really The Quiet Place in general, is we see these aliens come down here and you see that they can't see. One, you don't see what they came down in. And two, you don't even know why they're here. Are they just here to just harvest and eat and have just another planet to have? What's the reason why they're here? You know?
Yeah, and honestly, it's a good question. Only because this is the third movie, right? If this was the first movie, you'd be like, oh yeah, this movie's not about that. Okay, it's not about that. Fine. But they sidestepped it in the first one. They sidestepped it in the second one. And now at 3, you know, that's a pattern. So they're never going to talk about the aliens. We'll probably never hear about them. That is interesting. And it does feel like an odd omission. And the movie almost seems to be begging you to ask that question. Again, like the movie stops ice cold to show you these eggs. The movie also stops cold to show the aliens coming down, raining down. Looks like a meteor shower or something like that. But we don't know why the aliens are here, what they do. Why are they blind? Why are they on Earth? How come they just kill?
When Lupita leaves and she goes out on her own on her journey for this pizza, when she gets to that fountain, she meets 2 kids. And then when the ish goes down, the kids are just forgotten. I never see them.
The machinery of the script said, we need a moment that shows the audience that Lupita is a good person. And so they have her share her chocolate with these 2 little kids and provide shelter for them. And she's like, oh, you can go over here and you'll be safe. It's like, I see. She's a good person. So, but then after that, what do you do with the kids, right? What are they going to follow her the whole time? And the movie's like, no, we don't want little kids in this movie the whole time. So they're like, you go over there and we're going to turn our back and pretend like you were never here, children. You know what I mean? And
we got to make room for Eric.
Exactly right. So goodbye. Good luck, little kids. Goodbye. You know, so you can feel the mechanics of the movie. Up to that point, she was presented as kind of grumpy. So the movie's trying to say she's not a bad person. She's just a person with a mission. Speaking of the mechanics of the film, there are scenes where you can tell the filmmakers didn't know what to do with the cat. Like when there's a big stampede, the cat literally runs between legs, right? And the cat just miraculously is fine, you know? The movie just needed the cat to not be in the next scene. But the scene for me that really bothered me, because I keep talking about it, obviously, is that egg nest scene. The cat just randomly walks off. He goes and like climbs this beam and like almost dies trying to rescue this cat. And I felt like while it was an interesting scene, doesn't that betray the character? Because at that point, the character was depicted as like being so fearful.
That definitely betrays the character because, you know, he is a scary person. Like when he's out there in the pharmacy trying to find the stuff, you know, and the cat just come out of nowhere and just startles him and stuff.
Right.
But he has this courage to walk up a beam to get this cat out of nowhere
in the middle of the movie. And I liked the idea that he was like Courage the Cowardly Dog. You know what I mean? That he was afraid because because it's insinuated that Lupita already did that. Right, she did that before the movie started.
I like the chemistry between Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn. I mean, it was great chemistry right to the point to where you thinking like they gonna like kiss or something.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm like, in some other reality, these two would be a great couple
because these characters understood themselves on a deeper sense. You know, than what other characters do in other movies. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And the scene that exemplifies that the best was a scene that I did not expect to come. They finally get some pizza, right? That whole time, by the way, they're in like a club and there's like a piano and there's a cat. I was expecting the cat to walk over the keys and cause chaos. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. Yeah.
But the movie had bigger plans in mind, right? It was like, no, that's not what the movie's about. Like, again, the movie is not about the aliens. It's about the people. Eric doesn't just say, I found some pizza. He can't find Patsy's pizza. So he writes Patsy's on the box and then he presents it to her and he eats it. He's like, it's so good. And she's like, you know, and it's just a very New York-y thing to do. It's like such a cute moment. You know what I mean? I love it when movies stop for those moments.
I think if there is going to be any type of awards, it'd be for sound design and special effects because it's done very well. Lupita does a good job, and I can understand why she was cast in this role because you need someone that's going to be able to express a lot of emotion on their face while being quiet. And she is very expressive. Her eyes in general is expressive.
One thing I thought was interesting, and maybe this is the movie, you know, flipping my expectations. I didn't think this movie was as quiet as the other A Quiet Places.
Hell no, I know that was, yeah.
Like there were times in A Quiet Place 1 or 2 where I couldn't breathe. You know what I mean? Because the theater was just so quiet and I couldn't chew my popcorn. You know what I mean? Like I'm just sitting there holding the popcorn just like waiting for a loud moment, and for 2 hours it never came. You know what I mean? So I got a full bowl of popcorn at the end of the film. That's not really this movie. This movie works really hard to get them in places where it's safe to talk, where it's safe to make noise. They have her stand next to a fountain, and then she can speak. And then they have her stand under an overpass while it's raining, so she can speak. You know, and then they have her go inside of an apartment so she can speak. You know, so this movie is a much more noisier than the other ones.
I agree with you with that for sure. I said in my reaction that on Europe Nation Reactions, I want them to treat New York as like a character. How are they gonna take that is being in New York and then play with it? And I kind of felt like they kind of did with certain things that's in the area, where with cars and stuff that's always around, where people that just don't know to be quiet because, hey, it's New York. People are loud, right? You live in New York.
Yeah, New York is noisy.
You be dead as hell in a quiet place.
And that's also kind of part of it, right? Like I said, those pin drop moments, they're interesting because it almost is the movie telling you that no one here will survive A Quiet Place. Because every movie you watch, someone goes, excuse me, you know, to make some noise. You know what I'm saying? It's like constant noise. So you're like, oh God, the theater you're in is not safe.
I saw this film with my friends Erica, Lori, and Clarice, mainly because this was like a birthday present for me. My birthday will probably be by the time this you guys seeing this video. And I wanted to see this movie with them because I said, you know what? I gotta see Lori, my friend Lori, freak out. Because that's what she does with every single horror movie. And that's exactly what she was doing. Every time something would happen, I pick over to her and she's like,
it's funny.
She only clapping her hands talking about. So thank you if you guys are watching this for coming to see this film with me.
A Quiet Place is one of those movies where it's like 1,000 times better to see it in the theater. Like, that's one of those movies where you can make a great sell for you must see A Quiet Place in the theater. But this one might have been the first one where I'm like, you don't really need to.
You can see it at the crib.
Yeah, because it's not quite as pin drop quiet as the previous ones. The movie ends in a place that seems to suggest that there's a separate story that is happening parallel with A Quiet Place 1 and 2 that maybe we could go see. You know what I mean? So the movie does have like that, like, oh, we could continue this somewhere else, you know? But personally, I think we should end it here. Not because I think A Quiet Place is bad or anything like that. I can feel the momentum running out of the car, and we have a good movie here. And I don't think we should wait till we have a bad one to end the series.
But I did enjoy this film. Devin, you did enjoy this film also. But most importantly, what did you think about this film? Get in the comments and let us know what you thought about A Quiet Place day one. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. I can feel it like the monster on the back of my neck in this movie. Okay, so right there, it's right there. Just so please be quiet while you do this and press that subscribe button. Okay, very quietly. Please hit the thumbs up. All right, or you can hit the thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion, but just remember one thing: it's mostly wrong.